Hey, what's up, you beautiful people? This is Elektron here, and today I'm going to show you this really big trap drop I made. And the reason I'm showing you this is it's because I'm not keeping it in this song, this project that I have here, because it doesn't go with the project at all. But I didn't want to waste the beat and delete it, so I'm going to play it for you guys and show you how I made it. And before we get into that, one thing I notice about my videos, besides Ty Lopez, I hate that guy, my magic number for likes is around 150. So if we could please hit 300 likes in 24 hours, I think I'll throw a party. I would love that. So go give me a thumbs up if you like this video. So let's get into this. I'm going to play this through and we'll get to the tutorial. Alright, there we go. So, yeah, a little different than stuff that I usually make. And, of course, this here, I do want that to be a little more special. That doesn't, excite me as much as some of the other elements in this track does. But there is this. I'm going to explain how I made this. And I like that part of it. Alright, so first thing, kind of an overview of this trap drop. Really thin bass line with not a lot of high harmonics. It's more of a pure sub bass line. The kick is a trap kick. And of course the tempo is at 155 beats per minute. So where I was going with this is, if you want to listen to a song called called Bandit by Kuro, K-U-U-R-O, they are Monster Cat artists, and listen to that song, Kuro Bandit. That's where I was trying to go with this track. So let's get to it. Oh yeah, and another kind of overview. The reverb preset I use on every single layer is the small room preset snare chamber. Every single layer has that, and I thought that was a big thing that kind of brought everything together. So let's get into the kick. I love that kick. It's actually a trap kick. It is. So if you go on Splice and you search for Kick Pink LL, you will find this kick. I love this kick. It's really short and it has a lot of low sub frequencies in it, and I think that makes like an excellent kick to just beef up any way you want. And the way I beef it up is with overdrive. Adding overdrive to a really small trap kick, best thing ever, I promise you. And here, I'll show you the difference between a kick with overdrive. And this is a great trap kick, works for anything like rap beats especially. I love doing this when I'm making rap beats. And without overdrive, sounds like this. Still a great kick without overdrive, but I love that sound when you overdrive a kick that's really small like this. And by the way, this is a perfect kick to use on when you're following it up with an 808. So I was trying to go really simple and so kind of empty with this trap drop. And when you go empty, you need something that's going to fill out the atmosphere. And first, let me explain. When I say empty, I mean not much as far as leads are going on. So as you can hear, this is the lead. Then you have, look at all this space. So then I filled that space in with this, which is kind of like a lead. But if those things stood alone with the bass line, my atmosphere wasn't going to fill out. Okay, so first let's get to the dominant sounds and how I made them. So I used a pure sub bass as my bass line. And that is something I never do. I usually use a bass that sounds like this, because I like the beefiness of it, but here I am using a sine, and it has no high harmonic artifacts to it, and a really long decay on that 808. The reason I did that is just because I wanted a deep drop, really, really deep. I didn't want much sound in the bass other than pure sub. Like, this bass will shake the world, man. My dominant snare sounds like this. I love that snare. It is not a trap snare whatsoever, but I wanted to pull it off. And I got the inspiration for that snare in Getter's new track that everyone's hype about. I forget what it's called. Let's go to Getter. Head Splitter. Yeah, this guy right here, Head Splitter. Song's a year old. Like, everybody's going crazy over it. Wow. But yeah, I was trying to go for a snare like that. So that's why I did that. So let's start this off running the kick and the snare. That snare has excellent reverb on it. It's that snare. It's the snare chamber reverb. It works pretty perfect on a snare. So then I layered the snare with this. So this, the deepness of this snare with the high frequencies of this snare, that's the biggest snare ever. So then I went ahead and added an extra kick because the kick was kind of slowing me down a little bit. This is the same exact kick, just down, the volume is down a little bit. And that just creates, you know, some fun movement in the kick. Then of course we're going to throw our sub bass here made with Serum. And then at this point, what I had to do, this was essential, I had to differentiate every other snare. So if you have the same snare, yeah, it's cool and all, but you can make your snare more special by adding a second snare on every other snare. That's what I did here. In this clap here, it has a lot of reverb on it. So this, I kind of broke the reverb rule with this one, but it's okay because it added a great atmosphere to the snare. Now that I'm listening to it, I probably will have to make that reverb duck out of the way of those snares in between. But that's okay, that's so easy. I don't believe I did that next. Alright, so next I had to figure out my lead, like what I was going to do with the leads. So I actually didn't do these high pitch leads yet, I did these. And how did I find out how to make that? Please don't laugh at me. I looked up a fellow YouTuber, YouTube tutorial guy. If you go on his channel and you watch...
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Sorry about that. If you watch this one, the Insane Robot Serum, I think that is the tutorial I watched, and I kind of just manipulated what he showed how to do and came up with this sound. But it was pretty cool. In his tutorial, he kind of made a whole bass line, and I was able to turn it into a pluck. He makes a really good tutorial though, so I would suggest go watching his stuff. Shout out to Rocket Power Tots. So I added those, and I still didn't add the high pitched lead yet. I added toms because I needed some more speed in the drums. Sick. Music is just so much fun. Holy damn. Yeah, I sampled a tom that I found on Splice. I literally searched tom on Splice and found a low tom that I was able to sample. It sounded pretty good in different keys, so that's what I did for that. I added a little 808 snare as like a, once in a while hit. And so that sounded like that. And that snare is, again, an 808 snare sampled here. So if you go on Splice, you search trap snare, that is one of those snares that I used. So finally, I was able to add this lead in, which is an okay lead. This is one of those situations where I'd spend a lot of time making this lead perfect because it's the first lead that you hear going into the drop. So there's a layer, and that's just a messy super saw, as you can see, with two saws and a layer of white noise on top and a little bit of bend on them, and then probably the dominant layer sounds like that, and then a layer for the dominant layer. It's kind of different than the dominant layer. This one's a little more messy than this one, and then of course this one's just a noisemaker. This note was actually an accident because I ran automation on it. Like a pitch automation because of the lead that I had before, and I ended up liking the detunedness of it. It just sounded really, really cool, so I kept it in like that. Might not work for everybody, but it works for me, and I liked it, so I kept it there. Now, this is where the technical side of things come in. I'm gonna mute these leads so we could hear these things better. So I needed something to fill out the atmosphere, like I said in the beginning of this tutorial. The leads weren't going to do it themselves, and you always need those extra sounds. So I added all these things. I got these sounds on audio blocks, actually, because I was having trouble finding them on Splice. See, it's like just weird sounds that you never hear, and that's what makes your drop special. So I added all those, and they were just, I searched this stuff. I searched grinding, and it gave me like a grinding noise. It gave me a metal object scraping against cement. This is a pepper shaker, I believe. Yep, pepper grinder, actually. After adding those things to texture out the atmosphere, I had to add reverb effects to kind of open up to the next loop. So my loops primarily ended, in 4 bars. And then, of course, some loops I would end at 2 bars. But what that means is I would need sounds to introduce the next loop. So I introduced stuff like this. That is a reverb effect. However, it's not like a normal reverb effect that we might be used to. This reverb effect is basically a sound that sounds like this. Sounds like that, but if I do this, now it kind of sounds like a reverse reverb effect. That's kind of like a hack. And the way to do that is just simple. You add a lot of reverb to the sound, and then you have complete control over, you know, what you want to do with that reverb. And I use volume automation to shape the dynamics of that reverb, so then that reverb would lead up to this loop here. This is a reverse snare. And then of course I have this. Those little effects just bring everything out. And once you get your drum loop and your bass and your effects down, adding leads is the easiest part. So I had these two simple leads. I learned how to make this one on the internet, and then this lead I learned, well, I mean, I knew how to make that lead. It's nothing really to this one. And this is the shitty lead that I would like to change at some point. But that's what I did to kind of create a full trap drop to fill this spectrum out. So if I could just go through these layers and show you how many layers it took to kind of fill it out. We have all these. Yeah, so it's not that bad. Looks like that. It looks pretty standard for a drop. Maybe you could have a couple more things here and there, but I think I filled it out pretty well. And the point of this tutorial was to kind of give you an idea of what might be in the background of certain drops that you hear in your favorite songs that you're not paying attention to but are still there. That's what I want to teach you guys. So next time you're listening to a trap drop and it sounds like all that is going on is, you know, a big bass line, a kick, a snare, and a lead, there might be a lot more things going on in the background that you're not paying attention to. So definitely try to, you know, incorporate that into your productions, and you'll be on a great path to learning how to do some pretty awesome things in the trap industry. So there you go, guys. My name's Elektron. If you're able to take anything of value from this tutorial, go ahead, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and stay tuned for more awesome stuff. Peace out.